While we got a little break in the action here, let's have a philosophical discussion about planer board fishing. There's a group of people that believe that the planer board should be fixed to the line and should stay fixed on the line. So while you're reeling in a hooked fish, you're reeling in a planer board, it's actually still planing. There's another group of fishermen who believe that releasing the planer board is an advantage, because when you release the planer board, although it's still pegged on the line, you're not going back and chasing it, it's still pegged on the line. What happens when you release the planer board is it's no longer planing to the side, so you're not fighting that resistance of the board. And I think the biggest group out there, the people who are using planer boards and not releasing them, I think that most of those guys probably think that keeping the board fixed on the line means that there's never any slack, that they don't lose any fish. Well, the loop trick that we use that actually releases the board doesn't create slack in the line at all. And once you've tried it, you'll understand it. When we see the board go back and we get the rod out of the holder and we snap our rod tip, all that's doing is popping the line from the tow arm release. Okay? At that very second, we're pulling tight on the fish. We can actually feel the fish wiggling at that exact second. So we're not putting any slack in the line whatsoever. All we're doing is releasing the board so it's no longer planing. It's still pegged on the line. And so I think the people who haven't tried the loop trick are the ones that, if they did try it, I think they would find that it works very, very well. We do it with monofilament. That's the way the boards come from the factory with the right releases. You can also do it with a braided line if you want, just by simply upgrading to aftermarket releases, things like the Sam's Pro Release, which is made by Silverhorn Company. So you can do the loop trick, if you will, with braid, or you can do it with monofilament. It's pretty much up to you. But if you haven't tried releasing your planer boards, give it a try someday. I think you'll be amazed how well it works, and you're not going to lose fish doing it. You know, one of those, the last fish that we caught was actually caught by a planer board that released. And the offshore board comes from the factory with the right releases on it. This orange one on the front is called the OR19. This red one on the back is called the OR16. And so what I'm going to do, I've got my crankbait set behind the boat. I'm just going to grab the line and I'm going to spin it in my fingers. And I'm creating a little loop of line. And I'm going to take that front release and push all the way back in there. So you can see this little loop of line that's protruding here. Now what I'm going to do is take the line and put it in the red release, and the red release has a pin in it, so I want to be behind that pin. So what's happening now is this little loop of line, when a fish bites, it's a lot easier to trip the board, and so it's no longer planing. And when the board is no longer planing, what's happening is you have the sensation of being able to fight the fish and feel the fish. You're not just fighting the planer board. It's a far superior way of rigging inline planer boards. And we call it the loop trick. Super easy to do. And I'll do it again. I've twisted that line a little bit, put it on there, get my finger out here. There we go. Go back to the back of the board in the OR16, and I'm going to stretch the line so there's a little slack right here. And the reason I do that is so that the linkage works for the tattle flag, so the tattle flag can go up and down. The loop trick, deadly effective, super easy, and it works ideally with monofilament or fluorocarbon lines.